Welcome everybody, this is 100 Visions Guy, and I'm going to start a new tutorial series on using GitHub in a team environment. And I'm just going to hit the basics. I'm not going to get too intent on here. And I'll make this disclaimer, I have never worked on production code in GitHub. Did you hear the oxygen go out of the room? No, I haven't, but I'm trying to get my students familiar with it and comfortable with the main ways of dealing with Git and version control systems. So we have a team that is working on a video game using Unity. It's a pretty complex piece of software that generates a lot of files. And so I want my students who are collaborators to be able to get a copy of the game, be connected to this repository, and contribute as a team member. Okay, so this video is all about you're already a collaborator, you're on a project, how do you get the file, and how do you get moving forward with Git. So on the first one, I just want to show how to grab a copy of the repository and have it connected to this online repository. So the first thing I want to mention is this is considered the origin. So this is where the code base is being stored. Everyone who works on it will work on their own clone of that copy, and they will be contributing to it using Git. So we have one online that should be the latest state of all of the project, and then each team member who's collaborating will have their own copy of it. So I have a folder here, Unity projects, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new folder to save this work. So you want to find a good location, and we're just going to put the name of the game. That might change over time, but for now this is what it is. Okay, so I got the folder here. There's nothing inside of it. Okay, if I go back out here, I want to make this version connected to version control. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to use Git. Now you need to have Git installed. If you don't have it installed, go get it installed. I'll just show you real quick. That's git-scm.com. And I made a mistake there. Git-scm.com. Download a copy for your operating system that you are using. Once you have a copy of it, then when you go and you've installed it, that is, then you should be able to right click Git bash here, and we're going to open up in the bash. Now, right now I have the folder. It's not being tracked, so I'm going to initialize this. So you do git init, hit enter, it initializes it. Let's go take a look. You see that Git folder there. We'll go back out. Now, I think I've already done this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. I'm going to get a copy of this. I'm going to need this address. So you need to go to the site, make sure you're already a collaborator, or this will not work, and you're going to click on here to copy that. So copy that. Then you go back. Actually, yeah. Let's go back to Git. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this connection to the remote repository. The command is git remote add origin. The origin, again, is that online repository. Right click and paste. Hit enter. Okay. At this point, I now have a connection between my local folder and the online repository. The branch I'm working with is the master branch. But I have none of the files. Let me just show you just to prove that. Nothing's in there, right? So now I'm going to pull from the origin and place it, basically pull from the origin the master branch. And by the way, there is only one branch at this point. In a later tutorial, I'll explain how to use branching. So this takes a little bit as it downloads the files. And there's including an executable and some other files that are a little bit on the large side. So this might take a little bit. Okay, I've just unpaused it to show this has been taking a while for this to download. There's this one file that's very large. It's like 16 megs. At a certain point, it gets everything. It's on here. It was clearly this main.exe. It could be something in main data. I'm not sure. All right, so one of the things I want to do is I want to look at main.exe. I'm thinking maybe what we want to do, this is going to grow. We might want to just remove this and ignore it. Okay, so I'm going to do that to show you how I can now contribute from this local version here to the online repository. So that's my first job. Now, before I do this job, I just want to remind you, when you work on a team and you're collaborating, it's good practice to pull changes before you begin work. So the first thing before you start working on the project, open it in Git, bash, and just do what command I just did here, which is git pull origin master. Okay, if there's anything new, it'll let you know and it'll pull it in. Sometimes there are conflicts, and in a later tutorial, I'll show you what to do. I have to get a conflict to show you, so I'm gonna have to wait on that one. But anyway, for now, it says it's already up to date. If that's the case, that means you can proceed working, and then your job will be to do work and make sure you don't break it, having a build error. So you don't want to make it so that you have half-written code that is going to break it and won't allow you to build a new project. Okay, so you want to make sure you do that. And then once you're done, you're going to save, you're going to stage, you're going to commit, and then you're going to push your changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete main.exe. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to modify git ignore. Ignore that. And I'm going to just go ahead and ignore. I'm just going to put a little custom here. I'm just going to go ahead and start ignoring this main.exe. I have not saved my changes yet because I just want to show you what happens when I delete a file. But I'm getting ready for it. Yikes, I have this open on lots of windows. So we're going to go here. Now, if I'm not sure what's happened, I'm just going to type git status. Tells me some information. I can see I deleted main.exe. So I need to remove that file. So I'm going to write git rm. Rm stands for remove. And then it's just main.exe. Hit enter. Now it's been removed. Git status. Notice I've deleted it. It's green. So at this point, I've removed it. And when I did git status, by removing it turns green, which means all you have to do now is commit that. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Before I commit it, I made changes to this file. I'm going to save those. The whole point here is I've added this custom files because these are things that I just decided, let's ignore these for now. Later on, we might decide we want to bring that back, and then we'll just remove it from git ignore, rebuild, and whatever. So I'm going to save my changes on here, and now watch what happens when I save my changes. Git status. So you're going to see something's red, one thing is green. So green is anything that's to be committed. Red is it's not staged for commit. So you may see modified, or you may see new file, or you might see deleted. Okay. So I've modified this file, so I made a change here as well. It is directly tied into removing this file. So I'm going to keep these two changes wrapped into one commit. So you might be wondering about the terms, so let me just explain. Stage means, okay, I'm ready to make some changes and I want to let everyone know what I've done. And I want to preserve a copy of this. Usually what you do is you stage all related changes at once. So maybe it's 2 files, maybe it's 1 file, maybe it's everything. You figure that out and you stage them. So a way to stage everything would just be git add dot, and that adds everything. But in this case, I'm going to do dot git ignore because it's the only file I'm adding. Now, when I do git status, everything will be green. So I have a modified and a deleted. So now it says it's changes to be committed. So at this point, I've basically made some changes, and my folder knows it. Git knows there's something new, but I haven't actually committed myself to this change. I don't commit myself to the change until I use the command commit. That's git commit. Now, when I commit, if I don't do anything, it's going to ask me to add a message. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my message now. And that is removing. And whenever you do a commit, it's best to do present tense. So I said removing main.exe and adding that to git ignore. A little bit long of a message. Anything longer than that's probably way too long. So keep it sort of short to the point. Now I've committed the changes. At this point, if I do git status, nothing shows up. It's because everything is all good. So I basically, right now, at this moment, main.exe is gone, .git ignore has been changed, and I have just preserved a snapshot of this moment in time. But No one else has my version of the project. Not only that, but the origin online does not have it either. So we go back here and I hit refresh, and you're going to see that there's main.exe. If I click on git ignore, they don't have those custom files. So now it's time to send. Git push origin master. Now this is going to push my changes to the origin, and it's going to push changes on the master branch. So here we go. Now it wants my username, and it's going to want my password. So if that's right, it's good. Resolving deltas, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going to go back to the site, go back a link, hit refresh. Notice it's gone now. Main.exe is gone. Git ignore right here. There's my changes. All right, I've made my changes. I've pushed it through. And now at this point, all the other team members that have a clone on their own file will need to pull in my changes. Okay, so at this point, though, I've removed those large files. It's going to be a lot quicker to download now and manage for future reference. So there we go. First step, I got my copy. I've made my first change. I've sent it out to everyone else. In future videos, I'll show you how to deal with branches, why you would do a branch, how you'd make a branch, talk a little bit about pull requests, and then I'm definitely going to have a video on merge conflicts. So stay tuned for those.